Hello, hola, bienvenidos. As you guys can see for the title, today we're doing the swatch party of the new Huda Empowered palette, as well as comparing it to Zenitosha Denona Dream Palette, as you guys had requested. So I have some thoughts on this palette just by looking at it. I am only wearing 2 shades out of this palette today on my eyes, so I haven't fully dug my fingers in it. As you guys can see, it is practically brand new, and I did that on purpose so I can swatch it for you guys today. So I am going to go ahead and swatch, compare, and let you guys know whether this is worth it or not for you guys. Why it would be worth it, who would be worth it for. So if you're interested, stay tuned. But first, if you're new, Alejandra, go by Alex, eyeshadow enthusiast with a dash of Project Pan. If that is something you want to continue to see on your feed, subscribe and join us. And now let's get on with this swatch and comparison video. All right, you guys, so this is the latest from Miss Huda Beauty. I do appreciate that she releases these large palettes once a year, typically around the holiday season. So it allows me to be able to purchase and test these out for you guys. I did miss last year's. I was a little late on buying last year, so I did not review that one last year. But I'm very excited to be able to bring this to you guys. This is one of the palettes you guys wanted me to do a swatch and comparison with. So here I am. This palette obviously is $67, I believe. I'll put it on the screen if I am incorrect. As you guys can see, it does bring some mattes and some of those textured shadows that she is well known for. So I'm not upset about it. I do have my thoughts just by looking at it and analyzing it. So before we do, though, I want to go ahead and swatch this puppy for you guys so you guys can see. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to go down like this for a specific reason. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the swatches. All right, so we have a lot to talk about. So you guys can see these are all the swatches. It goes all the way up my arm. So I wanted to really share, you guys can see that color story really well. So then you guys can understand what it is that we're dealing with, you guys. Holy crap, there's a lot of different textures in this palette. So now that you see the swatches, let's get into the details of this palette. All right, you guys, so as you guys know, I've mentioned I've only worn this one time and it is today, so I have not played around with this palette, and boy, is there a lot of texture. Just by swatching these, holy crap. So we have 2 creams right here, definite 2 creams right over here, the black and this dark, deep eggplant purple. This shade right over here in Manifest It is a cream base. Now, I don't know if it's cream to powder when it goes on the eyes, but it has a creamy texture to it. I would say this one feels like a creamy texture, but it's not full on cream. Like these are 100% cream, no doubt about it. These are more like bases. This one, and even this one from what I remember, like these 4 or these 5 right here, I feel like all these like flaky, metallic-y, texturized type of shadows, with the exception of this one, all feel creamy to the touch. You saw how they swatched on there. This one definitely felt creamy. This one definitely felt creamy. The rest are more like flaky toppers, I would say, than it is more cream, but it does have that velvety, creamy type of texture to them. You can clearly see in the swatches and when I swatched them how thick some of these were. And again, I graze over these shadows always to show you guys whether these are going to work with a light hand or they're going to need to be built up. The mattes have a thin feel to them, but they are pigmented. So what that tells me is it's going to be easy to apply and easy to blend out with enough pigmentation where you're not going to feel like it's too much on your eyes and you won't be able to work with it. So she does have a really nice texture with her mattes. And for me, they do last even on oily lids over the summer because I have used her shadows over the summer, other previous ones, and they have worked as well. Now, the reason why I swatched this the way that I did is because I want you guys to see it how I am seeing this palette. A lot of you guys wanted me to let you guys know whether it's really warm toned or not. So here's how I've been breaking this palette down as I've been analyzing it. If you cover these 9 pans, it is more of a cooler toned palette. As you guys can see right there, it's definitely more cooler toned. It has a lot more plum to it. It has a gold, but the mattes that are in here are a lot more cool tone and purple based in here. Now, if you flip flop and go over here, very warm toned. This is very peachy, very orangey, and you do have that plum, but even this plum right here, this plummy, it's a plum brown, but it's still warm leaning. So you could see here the difference between this side and when I cover and go on this side. So that's how I would see this palette. You have both cool and you have warm tone. Reminds me very much of the Zendo palette in that sense, not so much the color story, but in the execution of the actual palette. Now, it's all on you whether you want half the palette to be warm tone or you don't, because some of these, even this one might be a little bit leaning warm tone, a little bit leaning warm tone, but you are getting a cool tone feel. You're getting a mixture of both. And the way that she put the both together, it works beautifully. So you can cross and use whatever shade you want, and it's not going to look odd on your eyes because some of these still pull a little bit warm, more neutral, so it'll work with the warm side and vice versa when it comes to the shimmers or the mattes on here. Now, I personally love this one. This one is very different. I went through every single one of my palettes in my collection, all of my large palettes, all of my palettes that aren't quints, quads, or trios or duos. And I looked to see if I had anything similar to this, and I do not have anything 100%. I can dupe the shades individually. I can dupe it if I cover half of it. You can clearly see I can dupe this multiple times, especially these mattes over here. And the same thing over here. I can dupe the mattes. I can dupe some of these metallic-y shades. But overall, as a palette, there is nothing exactly the same in my collection. This is very unique. I sat down, I looked at every single palette I own, and nothing came across. There were similarities. There are some shades where I can get away with, like I can dupe this. I can dupe this. Like for instance, all these mattes right here can be duped with the Sassy Siennas from Dose of Colors right here. All these, if this is what you're going for, Sassy Siennas, 5 shades right there, it's half the price, and you're gonna get good quality as well of all those mattes. So like I said, I can dupe certain areas, but as a whole, absolutely not, especially if I am duping the textures. The textures are very unique and very different, and she intermixes everything. Now my concern is these two are both cream shades. So when you're using these, it's gonna start falling into these, and there is no flap or anything in here for you to cover those. So that's my only worry if you are into these. Now, as you guys know, I don't care for a black, so whatever. If it's there and I use it, fine, but it's not something I need in every palette. This one would be a beautiful shade, and I am very tempted, now that I know that these are cream, I do want to use these to see how they work on the eyes with the rest of the palette. I'm going to keep playing around with this palette, obviously, on the eyes. I've only played around with 2 mattes out of here, and I have not fully gone into it because I wanted this to be like a kind of like a first impression swatch thing where I just wanted to go in and give you my initial thoughts on it. And just by feeling it, just by swatching it, just by seeing it firsthand, I am excited. This is a very exciting palette for me because of so much going on in such a small palette. This is not a big palette, and I just see so much of texture and color and dimension to it, and it's not even like you're having multi-chromes or duochromes in it, but she really has caught my attention, and this is very different, and I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. Now, with that said, of me going through my collection and trying to find a dupe, obviously I did not find one, so there wasn't anything that I could compare it to besides the Dream palette, which you guys wanted me to do. So I'm going to go ahead shadow for shadow to share with you guys what I see that is overlapping, because a lot of you guys are on the fence of whether to buying the Dream palette or this palette. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for you guys. But bear in mind, texture is going to be completely different from each palette. So if a texture is what is grabbing you, this has a lot more fun texture, has a lot more fun formulas in it. So if that's something you want, I would automatically go with this one. Now, it depends on the color story, but I'm just giving you guys that heads up. So now I'm going to grab the Dream palette and we're going to compare both of them because there might be some overlaps, there may not be. Alrighty, friends, here are the 2 palettes right here. I had to put this here for the mirror part. But here are the 2 palettes. Here is the Dream palette and here is the Empowered palette. Now, off the bat, you can clearly see this has it has more depth of purple in it than this one does. This is more of like a gray purple versus more of like a raspberry, warmer tone kind of purples in it. I can see some of the mattes overlapping, but as far as texture, 100% not the same. This one does have duochromes in it and sparkly shades in it. This one has creams and flakiness and texture and dimension to their shadows and like just different. It's just different. It really is different as far as the overview of them and just by the quality of them. They're both great. Don't get me wrong. Not one, I don't feel like one's better than the other. I think it's more of what you are looking for and what it is that you like to put on your eyes. So let's go on. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not even going to swatch the blacks because I can tell you right now, this black is legit. Black as a black hole in the sky and outer space. It is black, but it is a powder and this is a cream. So they're not going to be the same. You are getting blacks, but bear in mind one's a cream and one is not. So I'm not even going to swatch them because it's not an eye for an eye kind of thing. It's not like apples and apples. It's apples and oranges because it's a whole different kind of formula. It's cream and powder. They're both going to work differently and they're both going to have this one you're going to have to build up because it is a cream and it might be a little bit harder to work with because it's a drier cream. It's not so much of a creamy cream where it'll slip away. It has some dryness to it that'll allow it to adhere and be tacky. It's like a tacky cream. So it'll stick to your eyes and stay put. And I can see it working well where it's not going to crease on your eyes, but it's not the same as this one. So you are getting blacks, but just remember it's completely different. So off the bat, I can see that Familia here looks rather similar to Keep Going. So we're going to do Familia and Keep Going. And you can see right there, one's lighter than the other. So obviously Keep Going, which is this one from Huda Beauty. And please, I may get these shadows mixed up. I know I'm trying my best because when I flop them and look on the screen, it's the opposite. So I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong ones, but I'm pretty sure this is the Huda. Yes, Huda and the Dream palette. So here is Huda, here is the Dream palette. They both have a really, really similar formula. I will tell you that. They both felt the same. And you guys saw that I'm not digging into these shades. Now here is the Huda one. Maybe Carpe Diem. This is more like a peachy. No, see, it's more peachy. So that's not even similar right here at all. But if I have Carpe Diem, maybe it could be close to this one called Best Self. Maybe. No, that's more white based. So you guys can start seeing that it's not exactly the same. Not exactly the same. So these two right here are from the Dream palette. These two right here are from the Huda palette. Let's try Unity here from the Dream palette. And Power here. No, the one Power is a lot more white base. So this one's from Huda and this one's from Dream palette. So here, it's still, see, this is Huda, Huda, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3 Huda, 1, 2, and 3 the Dream palette. So we're still not getting exact dupes out of here. What about Rebel? Let's try Rebel. Rebel's more of a pinky tone. See how it's more pinky based? Ooh, so Rebel looks very, very similar to Carpe Diem, right? Let me just make sure that that one's Carpe Diem. Yeah, look at that. So Carpe Diem just has a little bit more of a deeper peach, and this one's more rosy base, but those are a little bit similar right there. So Carpe Diem and Rebel from the Huda palette. So those are similar, but they still have different undertones to them. Peachier, rosier. All right, so let's move on to the shimmers. I wiped down all of the swatches because I only have so much arm space. So let's start out with the shimmers, shall we? Okay. We're going to swatch this one in Manifest, which is this creamy. This is like a cream all the way, and it is gorgeous. That is a cream shadow. So the texture is different, but let's try Thrill, which is more of a topper. See? Yeah, that's not. Thrill, nope. What about Intervention right here? Nope, this is more of a glitter topper as well. Spontaneous maybe? No, it's too white based, right? Yeah, see? Nothing is very similar to that one. Not just yet. Not even with the flips that it has. And then we all know this is a duochrome. Let me try this one just in case. Nope, too pink. So you can see nothing's like Manifest. There is no gold in here, so that's already automatically out. Courageous. This is that flipping one where it's like it has green purple to it. Can you see that? It's like a green purple shift. So we're going to try Vision. Totally different. Completely different. This one has more of a deeper base than the Natasha Denona one. Natasha Denona, I can see the green purple very, very lightly. Do I have a mirror? Let me try to find a mirror for you guys. Can you guys see that flip? See the difference of the flip? It's not exactly the same at all. It's very different. So I don't think that those two would be the same. Man, this is tough, you guys. See? I don't feel like both of these palettes are similar. No, even like this one, Bold. This is just so... Wow. Look at that thing. Let's see. So this one is Thrill out of the Natasha Denona Dream palette. And that one is more gold base and thinner in texture. This one is Spontaneous, which is a lot more white based. So yeah, this one's a lot more champagne. And look at that sparkle compared to the rest of them. Yeah, that's not doing it for me, guys. Not doing it for me. And even the cream to powder in here, which these are the two cream to powder, and then these are the cream ones in here, and this one, totally different formulas, completely. This one, I feel it a little bit thicker and drier. These are just cream all the way, all the way. You guys, that's all that I have for you. There's really nothing else. Genuinely, there's nothing else that I can see that is an overlap in here. Like there's a red in here. This doesn't have a red. These shades right here are nothing really that close. Maybe Confident in the Huda and Aspiration. No. Aspiration is more brown and this one's more purple. Is there a purple in there? Nope. See? These are even different. Like these just are completely different. They're not even the same either. All right, so what do I think overall? Let me just compare these as an overview so you guys can see it. Both are $67. If I remember correctly, both are $67. I will correct myself if not on the screen, but I think both are $67. You're only getting 15 shades out of Natasha Denona. You're getting 18 shades out of the Huda Beauty. Both have warm tones in them. The Huda Beauty is catering to both warm and cool toned. The Natasha Denona is leaning definitely a lot more warm tone with a few shades, like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 shades of cooler or neutral toned. Both have a shifting shade in them, but they're both very, very different as far as what they're going to look like on the eyes and the formula themselves. Huda Beauty is giving you a lot more different types of texture and formula. You're getting the flaky shades. You are getting the cream shades. You are getting the mattes in here. You're getting the metallics. You're getting like a normal. Ooh, look at this one. And this one maybe. Look at that. Oh no, this one's more pinky base. Okay. Sorry. So you're getting different textures in them. Like it's very, very different from one another. It all depends on what you're looking for. The Huda Beauty is giving you the cream to powder. You're getting some shifting shades. You're getting topper sparklies. You're getting your satins in here. You're getting your black in here. But you're not getting anything that's super flaky, and you're not getting anything in here that is a true cream product. My only concern with the Huda is what's going to get in here. I already see a gold sparkle in my black as we speak because of these flaky shades that are in here. They're going to have some sort of fallout into the cream shadows in this one. It's up to you guys. I don't know what your preferences are. I don't know what holes you are trying to fill in your collection, or you just want to have them, but they're both different. There is no overlaps, I don't feel, and there is no overlaps in textures as well. I don't feel like these are the same at all. I really, really don't. I think you will get the overall kind of look as far as warmer tone, purples, cooler tones, shimmery shades. I feel like they're more cousins than they are sisters. You can see that they're related, but they're not exactly the same where you're like, oh yeah, the same mom and dad. No, you don't. You know what I mean? So it's up to you. It's up to you. Both are basically the same price. One, you're getting more shades and different textures. One, you're getting a formula where you can trust and love, because I do love Natasha Denona. I personally can't pick one over the other. I think I love both of them for very different reasons and for different occasions. Not necessarily, I'm not upset for having both. I'm not upset for thinking that I'm duping my vibes here. It's similar, but not exactly. Now on the eyes, I can't say whether they're going to look the same. Some shades may very well look the same on the eyes, but not all. I think it's more of the mattes that I'm thinking that for than it is for the actual shimmery type of shades. I really do feel like they're very, very different from one another. That's all that I have for you guys. That's it. I hope I have been able to answer any questions, answer any doubts, been able to gear you guys to whichever palette that you are interested in, whether it's both, whether it's none, whether it's the one you were looking for. I know a ton of you guys had asked me to do this, and this is a lot of fun for me. I really like doing reviews like this. So if you guys want me to continue to do my palettes like this, I have purchased a few more holiday palettes, so I am more than happy to pull out any dupes that I have, any duping the vibes kind of palettes, and doing the same thing if you are interested. Let me know down in the comment section. Other than that, I will link these palettes down in the description box. Let me know which one are you gearing towards. Which one did you buy? Which one are you not buying? Why are you not buying either one of them if you don't want to? That's perfectly fine. I'm just here to give you guys an educated review on these, and you guys decide which one's best for you, if any of these are good for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll put more videos on the screen for your enjoyment. Until then, adios.